Okie dokie. Hi, everybody. All right, so let me make sure I can see the chat window. You guys can also just like speak up too. But I want to know, how was week one for everyone? Olivia, can I unmute you? I can't unmute anyone. Oh, is anyone able to unmute? Or are you all just shy tonight?
I guess I can speak. Can you hear me?
That's great. Hey.
Hey. It went pretty well. My crew learned very quickly that we would be doing training and that they would be getting well fed for their participation. So that was lovely.
Sweet. Yeah, it's when the dogs realize like, oh, I can get paid for this. They are like, oh, I like this new system. So that's good to hear. That's really good to hear. Um, Anyone else? So easy. Zori still has pretty good recall in controlled situations from the basic class. Only controlled situations, but did very good. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about how you guys are starting out, and that's great, Jocelyn, that you're seeing progress already. That's what we like to hear. We're going to talk a little bit about what it is to learn something new. You all last week, Scout did great, awesome. You all learned a couple of things. You used the lure reward method, which is where we use food to put a dog into a certain position. And then you also used marking and rewarding, which is like clicker training. It's really like, I love it because once you get good at marking, you can teach things like super fast. I prefer to not use a clicker. I like using my voice because I can do a lot more with it. But it is binary and it's something that dogs acclimate to super well. So you guys are learning while your dogs are learning. So it's fantastic. Okay, she only comes back if she's getting a treat. She won't come on command yet. So, Raphael, I'm going to ask you to change your mindset a little bit here. Is it a command? What happens if she doesn't do it?
Oh, it's not so much that I want her to obey me, but she, well, in overall, she still is she still needs to be on a leash anywhere we go.
Yeah.
So I guess in the back of our minds, it's always like we wish we felt comfortable enough to let her go and then call her when she's walking too far away, you know.
I mean, I can tell you right now that I've never wished that. That would give me a heart attack. Having my dog off leash and like relying on recall would make me so stressed out that I like it
Mhm.
just would not be worth it. I understand the desire to have that. And it's something that is going to take a long time to do. Um, so I want you to think about it though as a request, right? And what I want you to do is I want you to think about, when can you ask for this behavior that you're more likely to get it, right? So I want you to be a little bit more discerning about when you're asking for it, because you can control so much of her environment, right? So maybe like we just do this like a couple times in the morning, and we don't like, if she gets bored with it or if she stops returning, you can just do like a 2-minute session.
Mhm.
But I would try and get her on like we really want to get her responding, And maybe that means more food. Maybe that means take her into the bathroom, right? If your dog can't do recall in a big room, try a bathroom, try the smallest room in your house.
As long as she knows that there's a treat involved, she goes and comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, if I'm walking toward the front door and I call her, she comes right away because she knows she's going to go on a little walk or something like that.
Yeah.
She's responsive sometimes, but it's
Not super reliable yet.
not reliable.
Okay. All right. And that's okay. That's totally okay. And this is gonna make a lot of sense in a second here. So I think that this is a great jumping off spot into talking just a little bit more about what it means to learn something new. All right, I want you to think about the last time that you had to learn something new. Maybe it was for your job. Maybe you got a new product or a new tech device and you had to read the manual. Maybe it was something you included in your workout. Learning how to use weight machines. It's not one and done. You don't like read the instructions and then you know it, right? Why is it that we expect dogs to have that one and done when we like really can't do it ourselves? Let's be honest. So the truth about learning is that it actually happens in stages for dogs and for us. So the first stage of learning, and if anyone knows this, you can type it in the chat and I'll give you bonus points. The first stage of learning is the acquisition stage. So they're starting to acquire the behavior. The second stage is the fluency stage. So they're starting to become fluent. That means that in a calm environment without a lot of extra stimuli, they're able to respond to the cue like 80 to 90% of the time. Then after they become fluent in it, then they have to generalize it. So that's where dogs are going to kind of branch off from people a little bit. It's harder for them to generalize things. Just because they know it in your home, it doesn't mean that they know it at the park, at the veterinarian's office, at the agility club. They have to relearn it. Yes, there is a foundation there. So you've already kind of laid some groundwork. There's some circuitry that has started to build there, but it doesn't mean that they are going to absolutely know it in all environments. That's what generalization is for. Generalization means I can do this here and I can carry it with me to other places. And once a dog has generalized a behavior into like 3 or 4 different environments, then it's pretty, it's easy. It's kind of universal. Some dogs have trouble with that. There are dogs who have neophobia, who they're actually fearful of anything new. So for a dog who's a neophobe, that's not going to work for them, right? And dogs can have like mild, moderate, or severe fear of any kind. So, maybe your dog has a problem learning because they have just a scotch of neophobia. The last phase of learning is maintenance. So in order to maintain a behavior, think about it. Think about maintenance in the sense of changing the oil in your car, right? Putting gas in your car, getting your tires changed. When you don't maintain it, y'all been 20 before? Y'all done that stuff where you drive a car and you're just like, no, it'll be fine, right? How does that work? It doesn't. Your car dies, right? So you can think of behavior as the same way. If you don't maintain it, it can fall off. And you can look at this through the lens of how important is this to me, right? So for a dog who has, okay, so for my dog, for BG, she is reactive aggressive, very, very selective with female dogs. She only has like 2 other female dogs that she tolerates in the world so far. There's plenty of years left, but that's where she is now, right? So for me, recall is super important. So I am I'm very discerning. I don't use it unless I'm like damn sure she's coming to me, right? If we're inside, remember last week I actually called Justin instead of her because I knew he would come because he's like a total he like is a stage 5 clinger with his mom. I didn't call BG because she couldn't see me and I didn't know what she was doing. So I didn't even try it because what happens when you use it and don't get the behavior is you start to like put some bad coding in the program, right? Because you've lost your consistency. So being really discerning about it is number 1, and then just always rewarding it. If recall is super important to you, I would reward that forever. If you have a dog who has stranger danger and you're doing, if you say your dog does pattern games when you're passing a stranger to get them to focus on you, and to kind of bring their arousal down, I would always reward that, right? Because it's important. It's really important stuff. So the more reliable you need it to be, the better you want your rewards to be, and the longer you want to reward that. Sit, like, if I ask my dogs to sit and they don't do it on the first time, like, I don't really care. I'm not like, I don't have time to be like upset about that. I mean, yes, it's important that that they can respond to cues, but like, meh, sometimes they give me like the half-ass it where they're like, oh, I mean, there's like nothing else going on, I guess. Like, okay. Maybe I don't reward that one. But if they like pop me at like pretty sit, like a nice tight, yes, mama, I'm probably gonna, reward that nice quality behavior. So when you think about learning, I want you to know that one of the things that brings me my snarky joy are when people tell me that their dogs are stubborn and I go, well, what stage of learning are they in? And they don't, and then they're like, well, I don't know what that means. And I'm like, well, let me explain it to you, and then you'll understand why your dog isn't actually stubborn. They're just not where you think they are yet. That's it. Once they get there, they will be more reliable. They're not there yet. So, and yes, dogs can be stubborn, but it is very unlikely that your dog is going to be stubborn and not want to learn something that actually benefits them and is reinforcing and rewarding to them in the way that you teach it. So,
yeah, which is very reliable in some other things, but yeah, the idea of calling and then coming doesn't always work.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing you can do is you could always have her on a long line. That's one thing that I think is a nice backup for when you're trying to test it outside. But I really like, when I'm going to go test a behavior in an environment where safety is actually concerned, I'm damn sure because I'm not going to do it if I'm not, right? Like I've practiced it so many times in environments that had those barriers up, those like the safety bubble. So, but I think a long line is a great way to do that. And basically what you do is, if your dog is like, and you'll hear me say language like not compliant, like whatever, if they can't, they're not compliant. Like, what do we think dogs are thinking? I'm gonna not comply. Like, no, they just got other stuff to do. Like there's shit in the environment that's more important than, somebody has a thing called, I actually think that there might have been a puppy mill controversy associated with this group, but they have these like little training videos that they do, and one is called Sexier Than a Squirrel. Like, if you're outside and your dog has prey drive and there's squirrels, you better sexy it up when you're trying to get your dog's attention. Like, you can't be like, Misty, like, no, girl, come in, you know, you need to like spice it up, or that squirrel is gonna win. Yeah, man, competing with nature is like a whole thing. All
Yeah.
right, so here's what we are going to work on this week. We are going to be doing a two-part behavior again. So watch me. How many of your dogs know watch me? Like, if you say watch me, will they give you eye contact? Okay. All right. So this is going to be new for some of you. It's super easy. You take a treat and you put it right here. Watch me. Okay. And then as you might even leave this treat right here and give a treat from the other hand. You could do that. But what you want is you want to slowly be moving the treat away from your face. And you want to be pointing here without a treat. And then you can give this one, right? So they have to choose, am I going to look at you or am I going to look at the cookie? And there are a lot of ways that you can teach this. You can play around with it because you're luring, and you don't even have to say watch me until they do it, right? Once you get that behavior, like, you're going to play with it for a day or two. And then you're going to make some very, very small movements. You're going to take like a baby step to the side, and you're going to do it again. And you're going to try and get your dog to hold eye contact with you while you are walking together. You are going to be doing this on a leash because you want your dog to understand that this is a behavior that's going to happen on leash. So if we already marry the leash, if that's already in the marinade, awesome. That's good, Dana, that Sally, and Dana, maybe you should do a video this week and post it in the Facebook group and show some good work. So yeah, we're only doing it indoors. Now, I understand that some of you are like, Daisy, if I show my dog my leash, they're going to lose their mind. Okay, well, guess what? We can start learning to be calm. Yes, do this, do it for a couple minutes, and then take your dog outside as an additional reward. Okay. But just because they get excited, it doesn't mean, like, we need to work through that. Okay. Maybe they're going to get a little aroused. Maybe they're going to get a little bonkers. They're going to be like, but wait, I usually go outside. It's fine. It's fine. We're doing something different. And there's cookies, and it's going to be fun, and I'm going to help you succeed. So, like, no big whoop. Yeah, they have to be out of that hyper state. Yeah, when they get so aroused that they are not able to take food, you know that they're too aroused to work, right? So you have to like do a little change of scenery, go into another room, do a little shake off, go for a short walk, and start again. But when your dogs cannot eat, that means that someone just spelled C-A-R, that your dog can't read this, Maddie. That's amazing. I think we only have one dog who hides when we take out the leash. He warms up when he realizes we're not going in the C-A-R. So I want you to, if your dog gets a little bit hyped up, I want you to do a couple of sits. Calm behavior for leashing. This is a new chapter in your story with your dog. So listen, if you want to leash your dogs while they're bouncing off the walls, that's on you. I wouldn't choose that. But if you want to do that, I don't care. Like, I have clients who let their dogs jump all over them. I'm like, sweet. That's your that's your dog and it's the behavior that you have to live with. I prefer calm behavior for leashing. I think it's an opportunity. Your dog has something waiting on the other side of this experience that they really want. So you're adding a kind of a mega reward, those rewards that are kind of like off in the distance. We don't usually do that with dogs, right? We want to get the behavior, pay them within like 3 or 4 seconds so that they know that's what I wanted. Here's your pay. However, there is a lot to be said for delayed rewards, especially when we're talking about learning. And one thing you can think about, these lessons, this is the protein in the sandwich. The lesson is the protein in the sandwich. I also want you to add bread and other things to cushion it, because we know from a lot of different data, one data set is with laboratory mice who are used for experimentation. They play with them before they inject them, and then they play with them again after they inject them. And it actually lessens their stress. So doing something that your dog enjoys that is a low stress activity before and after is also a great strategy. And it really helps them to understand that, you know, these things happen in different contexts, and, you know, it doesn't hurt to have that reward afterwards, that like mega reward of the walk. And it's also good for people to go to walk with their dogs. It's probably like one of the few times that we get to disconnect and actually like be in nature and not be, you know, on our phone or whatever the case may be. One of my favorite things to do, to be honest. All right, Casey, I can't hear you.
Really quickly, one of the other things that had helped us for any of those people who might be having problems with that whole process of going out, like we started giving rewards whenever the behavior started getting a little bit heightened or a little bit enhanced. So if I were to go over to the wall and grab my leash and I saw my dog starting to pace and starting to have anxiety about it, I'd give a treat, you know, maybe do that a couple of times. I put the leash away and go back. Because a lot of times that breaks down that process. So at every, they don't start anticipating. We still good? Okay. But no, that's what I had learned. Like started at the process, at the beginning of the process. Some of the things that Daisy had taught me was that there's this whole process. Dogs string together these behaviors. So if your dog starts getting excited or anxious at the beginning when you're just grabbing the leash, touching the leash, giving a treat, and going away helps out tremendously, because then, you know, they start getting maybe a little bit anxious later on, and it kind of brings it down a notch or two for your dogs. Just if any of you guys are having that, because it sounded like that from the conversations.
Yeah, and if you guys can always video your stuff. We're going to be doing some of that as a part of the course later, but if you guys want to video what you're doing with your dogs and upload it into the Facebook group, we can answer questions. And it's amazing. Like I've learned so much about just about myself as a handler and a teacher by watching what I do with dogs. And it's really helped me hone my skills and like refine my timing. So it'll be good for you. So we are going to jump over and watch this, but we're gonna sidebar into my nerddom for just 1 second first. There's some crazy science that I have been listening to a podcast about, and it is about the feedback that we give people to encourage them. And basically, the data is very, very clear. If you say to someone after they accomplish something, wow, that was awesome, you're a natural, versus, wow, that was amazing, you really put in the work. This is going to blow your mind. If you tell someone, if you give someone feedback and you actually base it on talent versus effort, subsequent scores go down. It's almost like that little BS meter in our head is like, talent, like I freaking put in the hours, man. And the opposite is also true. If you tell someone, hey, great job, I saw you, like, you know, you were having a hard time at one point and you kept going, amazing, you did it, really kick ass, great job, their performance increases. So I just want you to think about what that tells us. What that tells us is that we know in our heart of hearts, even if we want to be like, oh yeah, some people just have it and some people don't. No, that is not true. That's not true. Talent is work. People are not just talented. Casey, how many hours have you tattooed?
26 years now, and well over 10,000.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and you might look at her work and go, oh my God, she's a natural. Like she can do anything, right? She can do any style of tattoo that you throw at her, she can do. But that is not, I bet that didn't come naturally. I bet she worked her ass off for that. And when people say like, oh, you just like get dogs. No, like you know, I have spent many, many hours sitting in shelters, being patient and being creative and trying to help dogs who were responding in really tough ways to their environment. So when you guys put in the work with your dogs, that's what we're saying here. You are going to see the effort. And I just love that bit of science because it just makes me realize that there's so much that we know beneath the surface. Like maybe we can't tell you that we know it, but it speaks to our soul. So, all right, we are going to watch this video. It is short. You are going to see a couple of different dogs, and you are going to see the very, very beginning of the behavior with a puppy who's learning it for the absolute first time. And then you're going to see it with BG and my partner, Brent. Super refined behavior. She looks like a show pony. So you're not going to get to where BG and Brent are in a week, okay? That took at least a year to build in that, like, really, I mean, you'll see it, like, it's amazing. It's incredible. Like, she just goes into this, like, emotional state. And that's a part of this too. So I want you to, Eloise is the little brindle puppy that I'm working inside. And, you know, she's like a floppy mess. That's where your dogs are going to start. And that's totally fine. Okay. Eloise is a great dog and, you know, smart puppy. We all got to start somewhere. But BG is the goal. She's the goal. That's the polished, finished, completed behavior that is in maintenance. Okay. All right. I am pasting the link. I am going to mute myself and I will see you guys back here in 5 minutes. All right, everybody. So super simple, right? And that's the whole point of a lot of these skills, right? These are meant to be really simple. And I sometimes say to people, like, if it seems too easy, you're probably on the right page, right? We want all these things to be very, very simple. And sometimes you're going to go, wait, why am I doing this? This seems like for dummies. Because I am your Mr. Miyagi. That's why. Because sometimes you're like, what is all this? And then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm karate master, right? Like, trust the process. These things are simple. And sometimes, like, that's good, right? We want those building blocks and those foundational tools and skills to be very, very basic. Like, this stuff shouldn't be complicated, because when we get out in the real world and we start using these skills in challenging environments, there's going to be a lot of like clutch gas, and rewards, and like backing up off the stimuli a little bit. So the tools themselves are meant to be simple. So any questions about what you guys are doing this week? That's fine, Tara, if you've been doing it a different way. I sometimes just do the kissy noise, but you're going to want to teach it as watch me, because when you bring it outside and you say, watch me, like you saw how BG was like, she doesn't normally walk like a Tennessee Walker horse. Like, that's not her normal prance. But you want, we are trying to also elicit, this emotional state too of excitement and the enthusiasm that you've brought to these lessons, where, you know, just like with me and Eloise, like I was getting excited for her, and it, you saw it got her, like it got that juice going. So we really want this to be something positive. When they hear it, they're like, oh yeah, I love this one. This is one of my faves. Yeah. So I would start adding watch me to it, Tara. Yes, use high value treats here for sure. And you can also, like, you can do a trail mix. I like a trail mix because it randomizes the rewards. So half kibble, half high val. You can also use like for low val, sometimes I use Cheerios. Those are really bland. And have you guys figured out what your dog's like as far as high value goes? All right, all right. As long as you know, like I don't need to know, but as long as you know what gets your dogs like food. Hot dogs, yep. Are you heating up those hot dogs? Because bonus points if you microwave them. So Jocelyn, seriously, like I'm the only person who like does this at the ASPCA, but we used to have a microwave, and I would be like, no, when I'm getting ready to do behavior treatments, I'm going and microwaving that food, because that lets everybody in this building know, oh shoot, Daisy's coming and she's gonna want us to work. And my belly is starting to feel the yum yums come in. She knew we had cheese and that raised the price. Oh, she likes them better cold. That's okay. Maybe she likes the slimy texture. I don't know. Yeah. All right. So it sounds like cheese for days, chicken and cheese. Well, good, good. And I think you guys saw immediately that this is not the same as using like a milk bone or a pepperoni. The dogs are like, yeah, I'll do the thing for that thing. We've been like, yeah, I mean, you can't. I've heard people say, I want my dog to do it because I'm the boss. And I'm like, well, you know what makes a good boss? Fair compensation, a great working environment. You know, like, sure, be a good boss then, be a better boss, and maybe your dog will work harder. But these things are, you guys, when you do them, you see, oh, okay, this is different. So I love that this is working. I love that this is starting to make a difference. Awesome. All right. Well, does anyone have any questions? We have next week off, but it's muzzle week next week. So I will send out an email, drop a video. And that will, if you guys are like, if your dog, if you have any inkling that your dog could deliver a bite, a damaging bite, this is an opportunity for you to, this one lesson is basically a 30-day lesson plan. Like this one short video will be a 30-day lesson plan of how you can acclimate your dog to a Baskerville muzzle and have them wear it reliably for like at least a few minutes. So it's not something that'll happen right away, but it will get you started. So if you want to be part of Muzzle Week, see you at Muzzle Week, or I won't see you, but you'll see me in the video. And if not, I will see you guys in a couple weeks. You're ruthless, but toothless. I like it, Susie.
Okay, we'll see you guys. Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Thank you so much, Casey. Thanks, Tara.
Hey Daisy,
Yes.
if I missed it, I'm sorry, but are you gonna be doing like the journals for this class?
Yeah, we're gonna start that in week 4.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Yeah, and you guys will have you guys, and I mean, if you want to journal now, feel free. If you already gotten a good habit, then go for it. Yeah, awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.